The given function f models the number of advertisements a company sent to its clients each year, where x represents the number of years since 1997, and x is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 5. If the graph is graphed in the xy plane, which of the following is the best interpretation of the y-intercepts of the graph in this context? So I always like to remind you guys that every question on the SAT will have a concept behind it. So before we even do this problem, let's just quickly glance at the equation and ask yourself what kind of function this is. If you've said this is an exponential function, congratulations, you are correct. So in interpretation questions, it is really useful for you to know the syntax of like each type of function. So I just want to remind you real quickly, for exponential functions, we typically have this situation going on. So f of x equals some initial value times some rate raised to the power of x. So typically in here we use b. The rate is usually a b. Now there are many ways to represent exponential functions. So this is one of the ways to show it. Here's another one that may not be as common, and it's amount equals the principal, the starting value, quantity, 1 plus if something is increasing in value, or minus if something is decreasing in value, some rate raised to the power of t. There's yet a third way for exponential functions to be presented. This is in sequences, and it's a sub n equal the first term in that sequence times some common ratio, the number that you're multiplying by each time, raised to the power of n minus 1. So in all three scenarios, you're noticing they have the same anatomy. A is the first number, or the initial value. P is the first number. A sub 1 is the first number in that sequence. And then you have a multiplier, which is the b value. This b value is the same thing as 1 plus or minus r, same thing as r in this situation. So in this question, when you look at the equation, you can see that this is going to be a decay function. How do we know that it's going to be a decay? If the number in here is between 0 and 1, this indicates a decay function. So because we have 0.66, it means this graph is decaying. Anything above 1 would be a growth function. Again, remember, we're not even doing the problem just yet. We're just reviewing the concepts that you need to know for this exam. Now, back to the question at hand. It says the best interpretation of y-intercept. So remember, the y-intercept is the starting point of any graph. So let me see if I can illustrate this real quickly. Say we have the function given, 9,000 is the initial value. So on the y-axis, I would pretend this is like 9,000. And since this is a decay, this graph is going to be coming downwards, sort of like that. Now, you look at the x values over here. These are the number of years since 1997. And the y value is the number of advertisements. Number of advertisements. So we started at 9,000. It's decaying, so over time there's less and less. Now the question really is focusing on what is the interpretation of the y-intercept right here. If you're at the y-intercept, x is 0, that means time has not been counted at all. It's at the beginning of time, right? So with that said, which of these answers makes sense? If you've said D, that makes the most sense. 9,000 was the number of advertisements the company sent to its clients in 1997. Before, this is 1997, year 0, before we started counting. So D would be the correct answer.